Can you? Can you hear me?
Yeah!
Thank you. So here we are at the Danish Embassy in London. It also represents the Faroes Island government as well. And why are we here? Because in September, just over 2 months ago, over 1,400 white-sided dolphins were driven in to the shore in the Faroe Islands and killed. That was the largest slaughter of marine mammals in recorded history. And it happened 200 miles off the coast of Scotland. With an island population of just over 48,000, there's no more people living on the Faroe Islands than there are in Northampton. But it's also one of the richest islands in the world today. Because back in 2019, we made a Brexit trade agreement with the islands that allows them to export their fish to the British Isles, to our supermarkets. That trade deal originally was worth £100 million. It's now worth over £500 million. We have 25% of the trade of the Faroe Islands coming to the United Kingdom. Every supermarket that you go in this country has fish products from the Faroe Islands. Under the trade agreement, our supermarkets get access to these products at a cheap price, and they then sell them on to their customers. Do any of us think that's right?
No!
And the British government now have a direct responsibility, not just to complain about the Faroe Islands killing whales and killing dolphins, but actually to do something to stop it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
And the most powerfulest way of stopping this is the trade agreement. Because if you suspend that agreement, even for a few months, the Danish government represented here will feel the pain very, very quickly, because they will have to make up the shortfall in money from the islands from their own treasury coffers. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
So the Danes are benefiting from the Faroes having a trade agreement with Britain, which is worth over £500 million. The British government need to use the leverage of trade to stop the barbaric slaughter of dolphins and whales that have gone on for hundreds of years on the Faroes. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
And we know there's no market on the Faroes to eat this food. Dolphin and whale meat is not consumed. The vast majority of people on the island do not eat it because it's full of heavy metals. Their chief medical officer has told them they should not eat it. Pregnant women should not eat it. Children should not eat it. There are freezers full on the islands of whale and dolphin meat going back years. No one is eating this stuff, so don't believe it for a moment that this is about sustainable harvesting of seafood. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
This is about holding on to a barbaric practice that belongs in the Middle Ages, not in the 21st century. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
It is horribly cruel. It is horribly violent. They involve their children watching this horrible barbarity. That impacts them as they grow up, so that they in turn, when they become adults, get involved in doing this violent practice as well. It's a circle of horror that must stop. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
We must say to the British government, suspend that trade agreement. Use the pressure you now have to bring an end to this barbarity. I chaired this week a 75th anniversary event for the International Whaling Commission with government representatives and commissioners from around the world. Jane Goodall spoke, Chris Packham spoke, Dame Judi Dench spoke, all of whom called on the world to stand up to protect whales, dolphins and crustaceans. But it's not good enough for governments like Britain to say they want to play a leading role in protecting these animals in our coastal waters and around the world when they allow this barbarity to continue 200 miles off Scotland. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
And it was shameful that the Danish Prime Minister came to COP26 in Glasgow and made a speech about climate change. The Faroe Islands Prime Minister came to COP26 in Glasgow and made a speech about climate change. But no one counted them on the disgusting destruction of marine mammals that happens on those islands. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
It took me and Born Free to chair an event which was supported by the Cabinet Office for us to play footage that Sea Shepherd provided on the big IMAX video screens at COP26 to show what it was going on in this horrible, barbaric destruction of marine mammals. We didn't show the killing. We didn't have to. We showed the animals being driven in. It was powerful enough for the hundreds of people in the audience and the thousands watching it to know exactly what happened next. And as Chris Packham said, this shames the world. As Chris Packham said, we must now look at our retailers and tell them not to buy fish from the Faroes, but ultimately we must call on our government to do the moral thing, to do the right thing for ecological control and prevention of cruelty, but also to tell the Danish government and the Faroese government that they will not be enriched by the consumers of Britain when they barbarically slaughter whales and dolphins in this way. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So we have a petition, ladies and gentlemen. It's at 56,000. It has gone up very quickly in just over 6 weeks, but it's slowing. I've had Twitter censoring my account because of the actions of the Danish and Faroese government, working with PR companies to put in numerous complaints. I took it right up the line to the highest level in the company and it was lifted. And I said to them this: you allow the Danish hunters, the Faroese hunters, to show pictures of their kills because you consider that sustainable hunting. But you don't allow people like me and you here to put those images on our Twitter feed because you consider it gore and violent images that upset people. What complete nonsense, wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So if the hunters and killers can show the pictures of the children looking at the dead whales, we can damn well show them on our social media to tell the world that this barbaric slaughter must end.
Yes.
They will never silence us. They will not stop us sharing those images. Keep sharing that petition. We will get it to over 100,000. And what else we're going to do? In the new year, we will take a group of people to the Faroe Islands. And we'll see if people like Deborah Mead, who I've worked with, who've talked out against this. Chris Packham talked out against this. Companies like Lush that support our campaign will allow us to go with a group and fund it. So we can meet with the Danish government. And we will do that once that petition reaches 100,000, when our MPs will be talking in Parliament. We will hold Boris Johnson to his words to say that he wants to stop this barbarity. We will hold people like Lord Goldsmith that tell me he's horrified by this in government to account. And we will say to the Danes, and we will say to the Faroe Islands, this is not about disliking you or your culture. But if you do not stop this barbarity, you will lose this trade agreement and you will become poor as a consequence. That will hurt your children, your health system, your education system. Is all that pain worth it so that you can go into the water and barbarically slaughter whales and dolphins? Wouldn't you agree that's the question we should be asking?
Yes.
And you know what? The vast majority of people in Denmark and the vast majority of people on the Faroe Islands will have a very clear answer to that. Stop the killing, keep the trade. Stop the killing, keep the trade. And that's what we should be working on. And that's why the pressure we're building, working with Sea Shepherd, working with all the coalition of campaign organisations, working with the Born Free Foundation I work with the support of people like Chris Packham, is going to make a difference. We won't go silent. We fought this battle for decades, but we're now at a tipping point. And I think we can win this. I think we can get the British government to take a decision to suspend the agreement. I think we can get other European countries to follow. And I think the Danes in here will get very worried and will soon tell their Faroese friends that we're not going to support you financially anymore. We're not going to take the damage to our commitments to the environment because of what you're doing on the islands. The time to stop this barbarity, this cruelty and this killing is now. Thank you very much.